Progress daily. In order to get the opportunity, you must show up by any means, whatever it takes.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Andy Audate podcast, where we talk about business strategies, automations, mindset, and growth. How are you doing today, Andy?
I'm feeling amazing. I just got out of the gym, so kind of my body's a little tight, but we're getting it in for sure.
Definitely. Well, today I have a very exciting topic that I think this came about. We were talking about it earlier this week as we kind of were discussing the priorities of a business owner. Where
Yeah.
should focus and effort be? Because a business owner has a lot going on, multitasking. Sometimes they wear all the hats when you're kind of in a small team or in the establishing phase. So tell me a little bit about your experience and how you make a decision of deciding what to focus on as an entrepreneur, business owner. What should be the focus every week or every day?
The number one, for a small business owner, let's talk about small businesses. So let's say you're doing under $5 million, right? You're at that stage. You're doing under $5 million in annual revenue. You should be focusing on customer acquisition. You should be focusing on getting new customers and supporting your customers get wins, but primarily focusing on getting new customers, because that's the only way that you're actually going to know the health of your product, the value that your product gives you, is when you put customers through it. I've seen so many times where I'm working with entrepreneurs and they're working so heavily on the product, for example, but they don't have any customers. But they're working heavily on the product, so they know the ins and outs of the product. However, they don't have any customers that actually gone through it and created a level of success with it or uses with it. So you should be focusing really 90 to 95% of your time focusing on getting new customers.
Gotcha. So as a coach, because you've done a lot of coaching for other, business owners that have digital products, courses, and things like that, where do you see business owners actually spend on besides product development? Like, what are some things that someone came to you and saying, Andy, I'm doing a lot. I'm working 70 hours, but my income's not matching that. So what do you see as a coach, or how do you pivot from that? Like, what are some tools and resources for someone working the 70, 80 hours, but the income's not showing that?
You gotta. Well, first and foremost, where I see people spending time on is preparing for quote unquote the floodgates to open up with a lot of sales. Like, I'm preparing my infrastructure, I'm preparing this, I'm preparing that, and I say go break it. Go break your infrastructure. Break it. Allow your infrastructure to be broken and challenged at every stage. Why? Because that's the only way that you're going to actually grow and understand what needs to be done. Will you lose customers along the way? I'm sure there's going to be customers that want perfection from you, but you will lose customers along the journey, and you will 100% not get any customers if you are 100% solely focused on the insides of your business, and never making an effort to bring in more customers in the first place. So the biggest challenge that most entrepreneurs are doing right now is that they're so heavily inundated in the operational processes. And I can ask and say, how many customers do you have? For you, are you trying to retain customers? Like, you're putting so much energy into the business right now, into the actual operations of the business. How many customers are we talking about do you have? And then the response could be, I have 0 customers, or I have 5 customers, or I have 10 customers, or maybe I have 20 customers, and I'm just trying to keep these 20 customers. But what you're doing is you're really hurting your growth of your business because you're not focusing on what the journey is to get more customers. I remember for example, in our company, it wasn't until we cracked like 100 something customers, maybe 200 customers, that I really started to see, okay, the stuff that I built for my first 5 customers years ago, many years ago, would not even work today. Me thinking about the process of how a customer gets onboarded through our different products and programs, to understand that journey at 100 customers is completely different from when I was at, let's say, 30 or 40 customers or 50 customers, right? So with your current knowledge, the only way to really understand what infrastructure you need is to get there and to put people through. It's not by, let me just think about it. You will never think yourself to being able to carry, for example, 100 pounds of weight. I just came from the gym, right? And I'm looking kind of diesel in this video. But you're never going to be able to think your way to being able to lift 50, 60 pounds on a dumbbell, 100 pounds on a dumbbell. You're never going to think your way to doing that. It's about doing those reps. And every customer is essentially a rep. And every time that you bring in a new customer, you're going to learn what's ineffective and what's not ineffective.
Gotcha. So when you say that, because I can understand someone wants to do product development, or like you don't want to sacrifice the experience of the customer, right? But how can you find that middle ground where it's like it's not going to be perfect, but you are also committed to making sure that the customer gets a good experience, and also retention. Like I'm big on retention. That's been my key focus in our businesses for several years. So what would you say is a way to find that middle so that you have the confidence, because you want referrals, right? You want, as a business owner, you want referrals, you want people to speak highly, you want reviews, you want testimonials. So how can someone do both, where they're launching before it might be perfect, but also making sure that they make it a great experience along the way, not just saying, well, we're going to put the first 50 people and hope for the best.
Yeah, feedback from actual customers. That's how you grow. You can't think of all the steps forward. You can't anticipate what your customers are going to say. You ideally want to give them the best experience, but it's going to be feedback from the actual customer. That's how you're
Gotcha.
gonna know. I was I was at a mastermind recently, and at this mastermind, one of the gentlemen who spoke, I spoke at this mastermind, but in addition to me speaking, there was a gentleman who spoke. And at this event, the gentleman talked about their line items of the different products that they have. So they had like 10 in an offer that is recurring. You pay X dollars per month, and they have 10 different products that they sell. They thought the most valuable product was their coaching program. So they put it as the top of their 10 items. They end up getting hundreds of customers. And in surveying those hundreds of customers, it was actually the 10th product that was the most valuable to their customers. And their customers were the ones that were saying, the reason I'm here is not for your coaching or all these other 9 things. The reason I'm here is for this 10th thing. So if this speaker who's also a business owner, if they were in a place of, I'm going to make this the first 9 items, the best 9 items, because I want to give my customers the best experience. And then the 10th product is not delivered, it's not valuable to the actual customer. Maybe you even disregard the 10th product. Maybe you even throw away the 10th product because in your head, you don't think that it's valuable for their customer. Well, you would have shot yourself in the foot with hundreds of potential customers, right? But it was because this gentleman went and got hundreds of customers before any of the infrastructure was built. Went and got hundreds of customers. The 10th product was the most valuable. That's when he switched it and put it from number 10 to number 1 and optimized that product after he had hundreds of customers. So I share that with you because I see so many people who are just like, I'm going to build out those 10 products first, and then I'm going to go ahead and start marketing. And then I'm going to go ahead and get customers. Don't focus on the building out the products, focus on getting sales, and then your customers will give you feedback.
Gotcha. So would you say that's actually the part of the marketing strategy, is saying, let me test the market? Because companies do that. There's data and articles about how, for example, let's say Tide, the detergent, they want to try a new scent, or they're going to market the label A versus label B. It comes down to psychology. It comes down to patterns and who's going to make the decision when it's on the shelf, online, all these things. I'm very big on psychology, and you are as well, the psychology of marketing. So is this essentially part of the marketing strategy where, like you said, that gentleman had a list and it's supposed to be the big program, the number one, the best one is up here. But after 10 people bought or 25 people bought, it turns out that the one that he thought was number 10 or 9 was the best one. So is this essentially part of marketing strategy? Like, don't assume that you know which one's going to get your client in the door, get them to click buy, And you don't even know which one's going to get them to stay as well as a monthly recurring, client.
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta, you gotta do a test. We have, for example, at Progretta, we're doing a test right now on a new coaching program, right? On giving tools. So we have a subset of emails that we market and email to a small group of people, and then we base on the results before we do a mass marketing campaign. We just base the results, right? And we don't even create the product, right? So it's a pre-launch, and it's like, hey, you're incentivized to sign up now, and we're gonna launch it soon. If you sign up now, that shows us the reality of what the to anticipate what the results are. I remember like Dropbox, right? I did a speaking event in here in Vegas a few weeks ago, and I just watched the video on my way here, or listened to the video of me speaking on Dropbox. And I remember the journey of listening to how the original founder of Dropbox created Dropbox is that they created a sign up landing page for people to go ahead and sign up for Dropbox. Now, to build a landing page could take a couple hours compared to build a whole software like Dropbox might take months or even years and a large team of developers to build it. When for Dropbox, what they did is that they built a landing page, and then when people go ahead and signed up for Dropbox, it would say, sorry, it's not, there's a malfunction, please email us. And so then now people would go and opt in, like, I want Dropbox. The gentleman ended up getting like 5,000 people to opt in of potential users. And then they all got the same issue of like, I'm sorry, it's not working. And then he got a bunch of emails. And at that point, yes, it's friction. Yes, it's a bad customer experience per se. But at that point, he knew enough information to go ahead and make that investment. Because as an entrepreneur, you're investing time, energy, and money. But the only thing that you don't get back is time. So I want to have data, right? I want to have information so that way I know what's the best decision. I remember when I launched speaker programs, for example. I remember launching a speaker course years ago, and I think this was like 2018. I sold the speaker course, pre-sold it, and then I said, hey, if you get it now, you're gonna get it at a discount, which they did. They got it at a discount, but that also gave me the revenue to go ahead and invest into the fulfillment of the course because it let me know that people had a need. So I don't spend months creating products. I've seen people who are like building products, and then a year goes by. They're still in the building of the product because they're like, I want to make it just that good. A year and a half goes by. They're still in the building of the product, and I just want to make it just that good. While your competitor is making probably a less built out product, but they're making revenue from it, and they're growing their business. Now they actually have a business because they got revenue coming in it, and they're growing their business, and they're able to outperform your built product because they're making revenue. And then now with that revenue, they can hire staff, hire the right team, and invest in the building of that product. So let's say you're talking about an online course. Let's say you're talking about your software product, whatever that is. If you spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours in the trenches building your product, and not selling it, but building your product, then you're building a product for you. You're the only buyer in that scenario. You're not a business owner. You're the only buyer in that scenario. And that's where I see that the challenges is that you're building a product for you. You got to build a product for your customer. And the only way that you're going to get that information is by having some customers. And I invite you to get started. If you're in that scenario, I invite you to get started. Start getting sales, even if it's not the version that you want it to be. I know in my company, one of the things that I say is let's build version 1. So we'll talk about the ideal scenario, the ideal product. I remember when we launched Progretta, we talked about what Progretta could be. We could have a help library, help desk. We could have workshops, trainings, like all of this. And then I said to our team, let's sell version 1, and then let's build it after it's sold. And we sold version 1. I remember I didn't even know how to take a payment. So I ended up taking a payment on a different processor, and I said, "All right, you signed you up." And I said, "Guys, we got our first customer. We got to figure this out now. We got to figure out how to get them access." And I said, "Hey, we'll do your onboarding next week." And in that time frame, I was pressed to complete the onboarding process because next week was coming, but I had enough leeway in the middle. So if I sold it on Tuesday, I said, "Hey, we'll do your onboarding next Monday." Now I had between Tuesday and the following Monday to go ahead and figure out how to do onboarding and so on and so forth because I actually had a product, rather than me just saying, oh, I'm going to build out the whole entire process now, and then maybe I'll have the right process, and then I'll sell. That's the wrong way to do it. That's how you say small.
Gotcha. So audience gets tools for this. So I think that sometimes it could be scary to pre-sell something, even if you give it at a discount. But in your experience, so they can learn from everything that you've tried, and they can learn from your trials and errors. What price point or what type of discount should someone give if they're on that first? And that actually follows up a second question. Should they pre-sell a certain number? Like, do you say I'm going to commit to selling 25 or 100? How do you determine what's your pre-sell number and pre-sell price at that?
We got to understand what is worth the follow-up. What do you want to see happen in the pre-sale to make that investment to build out the product worth it? So, for example, if you anticipate 100 customers to come in on a product and you only get one and it's your grandma, then you may want to reconsider at that point. Should you continue to, but anticipating that you did the effort to market and sell it, like anticipating, not that you created the product and then you said that this is on pre-sale, you whipped up the landing page and you said, I'm gonna wait till somebody comes in and buy, but there's no traffic to it, there's no investment or opportunities for you to get traffic. Then you got to identify the traffic first, right, to get people to the website, landing page, to go ahead and make the decision. You want to get on some phone calls, start asking some people, some webinars, some Zoom calls, and so forth. So, but ideally, you want to identify what is a metric that is the bottom line before you refund. Because in my case, I don't think I've done a launch where, maybe I have, and I just don't remember, where I did a pre-sale, because a lot of my fulfillment is all pre-sale. But I don't know if I've had a scenario where I've had to refund. But the scenario that I would say in that scenario is just refund. Because if you think about it, what would be the worst scenario? What would be if you had two options? Option A is you anticipate 100 people are going to come and only 10 people come, and you're just like, hey, I'm going to cancel and I'm going to refund you, and you're now at a net zero. You got zero sales. But all your investment was just promoting a product that's coming, which was simpler than option B. You take the next year and a half, 2 years, and you build the most amazing product. And then when you build that product, then you launch, and then no one buys, and you're at a net zero. Which would be the worst scenario?
Right, all that time.
For me, option B is the worst scenario, where you spend the next all that time, and 6 months, a year, even 2 months, a year, whatever that time frame is, and you build the most amazing product that you imagine, and your customers don't even want that. That's not what they're willing to pay for. They may say like, "Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. Like, you have this. That's really dope. What you got there.
Right, but
wow, I'm impressed. Wow, would you buy it? No." And then they don't make. So the entrepreneur doesn't make any income from that. And then so they're like, "Why aren't you buying it? Why is no one buying it?" And like, you have the most amazing logo. Why aren't people giving you $1,000 a month for your product? You have the most amazing logo, but your customers aren't going to buy that. But I'd rather be in the scenario of option A, where you're like, hey man, it took me 2 weeks. I sent out, I marketed, didn't work out, and so on and so forth. And you know what, the results wasn't where it's at. I'm going to refund and cancel your account. And I'm going to create something else. If that works out, then I'll give you a complimentary access to that program or whatever. But your investment was only, as an entrepreneur, your investment was only like a week or 2 weeks. Now, this is launch strategy. This is identifying what your customers want and promoting it as if the item's already in the making or going to be available soon, and giving them the opportunity to go ahead and make a financial decision. That's the only way you're going to be able to get like the actual understanding, is when people put up their money. Option number 2 is you can have a landing page to show interest, but it's going to be based off a small portion of that out of interest. So thousands of people may be interested and say, I love your idea, and they put in their name, email, phone number because that's free. But out of that 1,000 people, for example, what percentages are going to buy? You really don't know until you get into asking for $1. And then so that's why I just say ask for $1 and put yourself in a position where you can
Gotcha.
protect your
So you're
investment,
saying
which
they
is
have
your
to
most valuable
calculate
asset,
at
which is time.
least their break-even point. So if the product to fulfill, let's say, takes $1,000, or sorry, let's say you would price it at 1,000. If you're a coach and you're like, I know my program gets people results if they follow it and they take my membership and all of that, my course, you would typically charge, $1,000. But because you're still in the product development and you're going to go a pre-sale route, you have to do the math and say, okay, if this person signs up and I give him a discount at $499, you just have to be good within yourself that the time it took you to develop it and to continue to fulfill, it's good, because you don't want to be negative, or you don't want to be on the big operational costs and all of that. So are they looking to also profit from that? Like, or is it just like, no, really it's just for product development data? And then as you get more data, you bump up the price because now you actually know what kept people retained.
If we're gonna give a metric, right? If we're gonna give a metric, identify what would it cost for you to go ahead and create the product. What would it cost? Put a dollar amount
Per
on your
hour.
time. Identify a dollar amount. So per hour. So first off, identify how much is your time worth, right? Identify what is your time worth. The easiest way to do that is whatever you made last year. Just go off last year's income. We're not talking about what your potential upside is going to be, what your future is going to be. We're talking about last year. So if we go based off last year's income, your net income after before taxes, your net income for your business before taxes, you're going to take that number and divide it by 2,000 hours in a year. You're going to divide that by 2,000. That is going to be what it costs per hour. So now what you're making per hour. Now identify how many hours it's going to take for you to go ahead and create the first version of this product that will at least deliver what you promised in your pre-launch. So for example, let's say I'm building out a course, and hey, to build out this course, I'm going to have the first version, I'm going to have, let's say 30 videos, and each video is going to be,
right,
let's round up, and each video is an hour long. Give or take. So that's 30 hours plus directing the team on creating that online course. Let's say that is 10 hours. So that's a total of 40 hours that you're investing. Plus you're investing money. So now you already have your hourly rate. Multiply that by however many hours. So in this scenario, 40. And then now that's your time investment. Number two is you're going to actually calculate how much does it cost to set up the to pay the staff or pay a marketing agency to go ahead and fulfill your program. Take your hourly rate, your hourly wage, plus your actual investment and double it. If you don't get that in
gotcha.
your
And so when
pre-sale,
you say what it
don't do the
takes to
course, don't do the
fulfill,
program.
that would include like software. So let's say if you have a course, you have the idea for the course, and you know it's going to be anywhere from 20 to 30 videos, about an hour each, because we historically, like all the videos I've done, at least they're like 45 minutes, but some can go an hour and something, so average. So let's say I have a course, I know it's going to be about 30 videos. I'm going to do pre-sale. I'm going to sell it to 50 people. I'm committed for the next quarter. I'm going to sell it for 50 people. But you're saying also consider the cost if you're going to bring a team member on, and then also software. So like if I'm like, I have my course, I'm going to need a landing page. Progretta can do that. Progretta can house the course as well. So which comes first? This is kind of the question, like which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Do you sign up for Progretta first because you're going to need somewhere to put the course, you're going to need the landing page, you're going to need automations to give them access? Or do you sell first so that you can pay for Progretta? Like, how does a business owner make that decision? Which comes first?
So the short answer is you get Progretta first. It's not because I run Progretta, but it's because of a simple concept. What comes first? Like let's say when you wake up in the morning and you wanna get some water. You want to get some
Well,
water.
you
What
need
comes
the cup,
first?
or else it's
The
gonna
cup or
just
turning on the
spill.
faucet?
Like, what are you gonna?
Do you get the exactly? Yeah, exactly. So it's the same concept. So you grab the cup first. So in that scenario, the cup is for Greta. So you grab the cup first, set it into place, and then pour the water. So the water in this scenario is your customers, right? So you're gonna need to have a system where you're going to place your online course, we're going to put your webpage for people to go ahead and purchase, where you're going to put your video sales letter and so forth. That's why Progretta is a nominal fee. It's very small compared to the other things that you're going to need to do when running your business. Progretta is only one small piece. It's not going to be the thing that creates your business. It's only one small piece with compared to everything else. However, that's going to be the base platform for you to be able to launch your webinar, for you to launch your video offer, for you to take payment from your customers and so forth. So you got to get Progretta first, build out the webpage in Progretta, but you may not want to do the whole build out just yet until you get some sales. That's one complete strategy. Or you may already have an audience. Now, if you already have it, now this is if you don't have a proven product and a proven offer. If you already have an audience in this scenario, this just came to mind. If you already have an audience and you already know their needs, you already know their challenges, you already know their desires, their wants, you may not have to pre-sell. You can actually just go ahead and develop the product and launch it to your audience and say, hey, I have a new program. So let's say, for example, I am a fitness coach and I have 300 people that are inside of my fitness program where I'm teaching them or giving them access to different techniques and strategies for what to do when lifting weights and in the gym. So now I'm helping them on the physical. Now, let's say I'm getting a bunch of DMs every single day. What should I eat? What should I eat? What should I eat? I saw this on YouTube. I saw that on YouTube. So if I already have the group of people who they trust me, I have influence over them. Plus, I have a relationship with them. Number two, and I have the knowledge of what they need, then I may not need to do a pre-sale. I can just go ahead and develop that program and say, hey guys, by the way, if you upgrade, I also give you access to the food, and you'll get instant access today. And now it's going to be an easy decision for them. They're already customers of mine. They already have a relationship, and they upgrade to a higher level to get access to that content. But you already know their needs, and then you already fulfilled their needs
And
ahead of time.
I'm
So
glad
that
you
is
brought
also
that up
possible
because
as
I
well.
actually had a question as you were sharing earlier about the acquisitions. Like, we don't even want to get caught up on should I get Progretta first on the logo and the package and the pricing. I just want to make sure people have a foundational understanding on the order. So you're going to need software so you can put your product, you can collect payment. Probably if you sign up for Progretta like Monday, by Friday you can do your landing page and all that, right? Switch on to acquisitions is what we're saying. Decide what you're going to do, how you're going to take payment, all that. Switch on to acquisitions. Is acquisitions dependent on having a big social media follower or having a list already? Because if we're saying focus on acquisitions, what should they be doing every morning when they sit on their computer? Like, well, I have the product, I have the knowledge, I have the credibility, but what should they be doing in the first hour of their day?
What we're doing right now, I just got into the office. I'm in acquisition, right? I'm in customer acquisition mode for sure, right? And I just got into the office today. It's 9:34 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I came into the office 36 minutes ago. True. We started this podcast 34 minutes ago, and 36 minutes ago I walked into the office, right? I already have my setup here. I'm able to press a button, turn on the computer. I'm in the Zoom room. The first thing I did is I'm on a podcast adding value to the lives of our listeners, right? That's the first thing I did. So you want to be able to share content with your folks online and give them direction. I may take this podcast. I already have some people in mind. Like I may just take this podcast and share with them the link and say, hey, go listen to this. Not because I'm trying to acquire them personally as a customer. Maybe I just want to deliver so much more valuable value to them that could help them in their journey and help them stay as a customer, right? Someone told me a comment one day. He said, the efforts that you do to retain your customers is almost equal to customer acquisition. And I understood that because in order to get next month's payment, for example, or the following quarter or the following year, whatever your terms are, the efforts that you do, it's equivalent to keeping them with you. So that way they do pay you next month and they do pay you next quarter or they do pay you next year. So you want to add as much value on a consistent basis, right? So it's really, I would rather say customer acquisition is really like revenue acquisition. How do you acquire revenue? That's really should be the question, and the conversation is how do you acquire revenue, not how do you acquire customers, because you may have a good base of customers and say, hey, I'm good. I remember I was listening to this episode of this gentleman speaking, and he was in a place in his career where he's like, I don't really want new customers. I just want to focus on giving the most amount of value to the current customers I have and get creative with retaining them and giving them the most amount of value so that way they can stay with us long term and
So,
work
for
with us long term.
example, and I used to do this in real estate. I used to have a little like sticky note because I had a lot of things to do. Like I might have to go walk up investment property. I might have to do this, da da da. But I always said that my first hour was the outbound. So I didn't have a team at that time, but I had Progretta. So I would get in there and focus on my marketing email first. I had running email campaigns, but I would say, what's my next email gonna be about? Sometimes it was about a property that sold, what's coming up. Sometimes it was value. So one email done before 10 a.m. Then I would do text check-ins. The nice thing about Progretta is you can tag people. So I was able to focus very specific text to a very specific group. So if it was a check-in text, it's like, how's everything going? Done. Check in with my top, investors. And then number 3 is, how can I let the world know that I'm in investment real estate? I was old school. This was last summer, but you know what I ended up finding out? I was everywhere. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Craigslist. Which one do you think worked the most out of those 4? And I'm a millennial, and I was just doing all of them.
Facebook.
So Facebook was number 2. Craigslist was my highest conversion from a stranger to an investor buyer. Interesting, right?
Interesting.
So I share that because I remember I wanted to spend so much time on like the things that I was already good at, but because I was in real estate, you're commission only. You don't get paid until you get a deal. So what I remember thinking was, I read a book called The Compound Effect, and it was like, you have to do these incremental moves every single day to generate a result. So I share this because as a business owner, fitness coach, or, and even I see you do this every day. You do the same thing every day, but your everyday focus is acquisitions or revenue and also value for current customers. Would you agree that how you make your day, you structure your day, you structure your focus, you're like, hey, executive assistant, I got a lot going on, but my top 3 are this.
Well, I mean, my executive assistant already knows what our top 3 is and what our top 5 is and what's the most important thing, because we already had conversations ahead of time. However, what you just inspired me to look at is recognizing that the decision that you make every day is either going to help you grow or make you go smaller, right, in business. And I like the concept of this revenue acquisition versus customer acquisition, because the reality is, I don't care what the comments say. I don't care what the likes say. It's if they're willing to spend money with you, they find it valuable. That's where there's a song called "You Don't Eat." It's by Jadakiss. It's a rapper, and it's like one of the lines in that song. He recorded in 2015, and it just came up in my mind. And one of the lines in that song is, your bank account is your report card.
Ooh,
As an entrepreneur, your bank account is your report card. That's the truth.
Because I remember in real estate, like, did I get the results or not? You either did or you didn't.
You want to know how many people you're impacting? Is your bank account your report card? That's how, and that's the reality. Yesterday, I'm reading this book called Buy Back Your Time. And that concept that I just shared with you about the 2,000 hours, I came from a portion of that came from that book, Buy Back Your Time. And so I followed the math where I calculated my hourly rate. And I was like, man, F that, man. Like, that's like so small compared to what I think my potential is. And the initial thought was, I'm not providing enough value to enough people. That's like, think about Google. Think about Google. How many people are impacted if Google goes down?
Anytime,
how many
like
people,
Instagram
if
has
Google
been
were to
down for
shut
a
down, how many
second,
people are
crazy mayhem.
Crazy, right? Mayhem. But that's why the Mark Zuckerberg is, the filthy rich, right? Because of the impact that he's creating in the world through his products. So I said, hey man, it's all about the value that you're giving. That's where it comes down. When you look at Elon Musk and you're like, oh well, Elon Musk has all of these employees and all of these companies. What is it? Russell Branson, 400 companies, 7,000 employees. Like him as a leader, there's a lot of value. That's why he's a billionaire, because 7,000 people work under his leadership. 400 organizations operate under his leadership with his philosophies and his training that he has equity stake in it. And so when I look at the value, I'm just questioning, like, hey, how could I add more value to people? The only way I'm going to be able to find out is based on their ability to spend money with me, not their comments, not the comments on Facebook, not the comments on Instagram, not the emails that come in and like, oh, I love this idea. You really love this idea? Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover. If you really love that idea, and that will show. No, it's not about me taking money in that scenario. That will show if it's actually valuable to the market that you're marketing to. So if you have an idea, I'm sick and tired of seeing entrepreneurs, and I say entrepreneurs, but I'm sick and tired of entrepreneurs that are in the building, not even in the, like when I say building stage, that they just stay building. Yeah. It's more of thinking. I remember when we ran a marketing agency, I remember running a marketing campaign. Our name is attached to the marketing, the services that we fulfill, right? And so we want to provide the highest level of results for a client, especially when we were a marketing agency years ago. And I remember a marketing client who worked with us, and they were investing into their business, yes, but the investment is only part of it. It's not even just about the money. It's your ability to move the project forward as the business owner, right? When we're in the marketing agency world. And I remember being in a scenario where we had a client who was just never pushing her business forward. She was self-sabotaging her own company's growth. She had Audate Media, of the videographer, she had the whole team behind her, right? She had me, she had you. I remember you worked on that project. She had a whole team, the graphic designers, the Facebook ads expert, the whole team behind her. And the whole tech team, we could have took her business from zero to at least $83,000 in monthly recurring revenue. And she was deciding to stall. And when I most recently checked, that was back in like 4 years ago. When I most recently checked into her business, we stopped working with her. We chose to, hey, we're no longer going to accept your money because if we put our name on your product, on your business, and you decide to hurt your own business, it could look like we were the culprit of the scenario. And me as a leader of my business, your success is our success. So if you're choosing to essentially hang your own business, right? If you're choosing to kill your own business, it's going to impact my business long road. When people ask us, show us case studies, show us examples of what your customers go through, and we show them in her scenario, we showed them her scenario, and it's like, hey, there was no progress. Why was there no progress? In this scenario, it was the client who was, no, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. And still to this day, they probably worked with 4 or 5 different marketing agencies therefore after, and still to this day, there's no progress. But it wasn't, I took responsibility as what could I have done differently? And I realized I wasn't putting out content like this to let them know ahead of time. That's why I'm doing this content right here, is because I could have let her know ahead of time, we don't want to stall your project. We want to create assets. We want to get you customers, and we want to identify what's not going to work. We want to identify what's going to work, and then let's grow this business. And the whole entire time I'm beating myself up saying I could have done something different as a leader, because not only was I leading my company, but I was also leading this client to the promised land, to a level of success. And in my journey, I'm like, hey, what could I have done differently as a CEO and as a marketing agency for our client? What could I have done differently? is I could have created this podcast 4 or 5 years ago explaining that we want to launch, we want to get data, we want to create results and shift and pivot every single time we get new information so that way we can grow the business. And I didn't do that. I was selfish by holding this information in. And that's what I realized. I can't hold this information in. We got to create the podcast. So I acknowledge you for opening this up and, expanding the thoughts that are going on up here in my mind. So that way I can help another business
For
owner
sure.
not
And I
make
think
the
that's
same mistakes that I
important. It's
made
like
years ago.
none of this comes from a place of like, we want to, I guess the word is like, we don't just say, we're not going to work with you because your mindset's not there. We're actually saying we care so much about your hopes and dreams because we actually learn what people's dreams are. We don't just say, what's your number, revenue, income goal, or what's your sales goal? You really ask people like, no, what is your dream? Like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to retire by this age? Are you trying to be home with your kids? And I think you take that so intensely, like you said, responsibility that they reach their goals in 30, 60, or 90 days, that I have seen you go through that struggle of, hey, this person signed up. They said that they want to make 50,000 a month. They're still not there. And then you look for what's in the gap. So I think this is just to share perspective. Working with Progretta team, this is a mindset across our company. We're not the type of person where if you sign up and we don't hear from you, and we're like, well, that's fine. They can continue doing what they're doing. You're going to get checked on. You're going to get an email. How's it going? You're going to get a text with how's it been? And sometimes life happens. Of course, sometimes there's situations where a business owner needs to slow down or whatever it is. But I've seen a lot of people come back after a year where something happens and then they reach out to me like, hey, Lory, I want to finish my project. To me, that's fulfillment. That's our gift to the world, is to be able to be that person that's like, you can give up on your business, but we're not. You can give up on your goal, we're not. That's not us.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, look, it's like the reason I'm so passionate about this, for me, business is a spiritual game more than like a financial game. It's a spiritual game. When I look at my business and I look at my results and I see the amount of lives that in a business book, it would be called customers, right? In our hearts, these are souls. These are people that I feel like God has allowed me to work with, and God put me in that position. I had a meeting with one of our clients who's doing webinars with us, right? And she's on our webinar system, and she's hosting webinars. And when I had a meeting with her, I said, "Hey, it was about 1,000 people who had joined her webinar, who opted in to go to register for her webinar." And I said to her, "It's like God said, you're their leader. God entrusted you to lead them. And it's your job to pivot, communicate effectively to lead those individuals. It's not a money game. Like, the money is just a report card, it's a reflection. It's a based on, hey, this is your result. This is your result because X amount of people were able to invest X amount of dollars, right? That's the results part. But from the spiritual part, when I look at our customer base and I'm like, okay, God told me that, it's showing me that this group is who he's entrusted me with to lead. And all the experiences that I've gone through. So one of those experiences was in 2017. I was in product ideation mode. And long story short, I wasn't focusing on revenue acquisition. I was focusing on getting the best product and thinking to the point where I ended up getting pretty much almost evicted. Now, the reality is, so let me go a little detail. I went to my landlord, and this was September 1st, 2017. I went to my landlord and I said, "Hey, I showed him a piece of paper. I'm like, hey, I'm doing this event. Although I'm in product ideation, this is going to be the biggest, baddest thing. And then money's going to start coming in. Please give me a chance. And just extend my rent for the next month." He ends up saying, like, let's talk at 7:00 that night. I remember the exact word. But let's talk at 7:00 that night. Him and his wife, he comes to my apartment and we had a conversation. That's when I learned about sheriff lockout. Right, sheriff lockout is where they lock the door on you, and then they call the cops to essentially extract your things from the house. All your stuff is on the lawn, and you cannot enter your property anymore. You can't enter your apartment. So they're going to do a sheriff lockout. I had 72 hours to get the money, right? Because In California, I guess you could do a pay or quit after a certain amount of days. So they were going to give me an extension per se of 3 days. So I had 72 hours to go get the revenue, to go get enough income. And at that time, I think the rent was like $2,000 or something like that. I literally left my apartment that day. I put on a suit and I went and I pre-sold the product. I went to car dealerships. I couldn't even have enough money for gas. I went and I pre-sold an event ticket of a future event. And I'm like, I don't even have any tickets, but pay me now. I'll get them to you. I'll send you an email with access, right? So they paid, and I got the $2,000, paid my rent, and I said, whew, okay. What I realized is I already was skilled. I already had the process. I already had the understanding of what I need to do, which was go create revenue. You don't have to focus on creating a product. I spent months thinking about a product. Bank account starts going low. So all the things that I'm sharing with you is coming from a place of love. I recognize that, like, I don't want you to experience what I experienced in 2017. Since then, I've generated millions of dollars from our organization, for Andy's own organization. But I will never put myself in any predicament that's even close to that, nor will I allow people who are in my inner circle to do something similar. And so that's where I'm like, dude, get cash, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to survive and help other people. You can't help other people with being broke.
I
It's
feel
impossible.
compelled to share this because as you were sharing this, this is two things that came to mind, and this is personal story. So there have been two things in my life that I realized that we don't have unlimited time in this world. So for anybody that has a gift and an idea, this is me saying, do it now. So my dad passed away when he was 33. I'm 33 now, and he worked two jobs his whole life. He would work a morning shift and then a night shift. He had grit and hustle. Like, he learned English on his own, didn't have to go to school. I get my grit from him. But when he passed, he left nothing for us. He did the best he could in survival, but he left debt. So if you're the head of your household, just think of the day when you're gone, because I was on the other side. And thank God my mom, being resilient, she didn't let us go to the streets or become homeless. The level of thinking I think a man should have in their household. Now, if you're a single person, like I went to college at 18, I never once assumed that I had unlimited time for college. As the oldest, I knew that I had a purpose. I go in there, I'm done, and my family's life would change. And it did. Thank God, because I went from cleaning houses to then making close to six figures in corporate within like 6 years or less. So I took every day as like, today is the day. My mom's life is going to change. My sister's life is going to change. And I've been blessed. Now we're like talking about different things, investment properties and things like that. I share this because I do think sometimes it's irresponsible to think that we have unlimited time, years. Like, I'll keep working my job and then I'll start the business at 45. I'm 33 and I'm like, I hit the ground running. The moment that I was 18, I saw people partying and I saw people buying the nice cars, and I was broke. And I say this not to make anybody sad or for pity. I'm just saying, whatever your background is, don't let that determine your, oh, I can't do it because of this, I can't do it because of that. You either do it or you don't. What are your thoughts on that part of people really think they have a nine, and you lead a whole team, you've made millions, you're probably, what is it, on a 30 company acquisitions probably by the end of this year, if I'm doing the math right, with like partners and things like that. That's one of the things I noticed when I met you. You didn't take this lightly. It's not like, I could have done this, later. I could have partied. Like, you were in LA. You could have had a chill life, when I met.
So, I mean, my thoughts are very similar to yours. My thoughts are, hey, you got to go ahead and you got to get it, and you can't wait, and you got to do it now. All right, so Lory's internet may have shut down. May have shut down so far. However, if you like this type of content, I would love to know in the comment box if you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, or if you're watching this on listening to this on iTunes. Let us know what your thoughts are by leaving us a review and liking and subscribing. So this call, we'll definitely save it. It'll be uploaded to YouTube, and we'll save it on my Facebook. So you could join me at facebook.com/Andy Audate, as well as it'll be on iTunes and Spotify. So Lory's internet shut down for whatever reason. However, we'll be doing this type of content every single week. So if you're interested, let us know by emailing us if you're interested in this type of content and you want more of this type of content, but most importantly, you want us to speak on a specific topic, email us at media@andyaudate.com. That's media@andyaudate.com. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now, everyone.